Before villages held still, before law could be cut into stone, there were rules carried in the body or learned them in cold, so complete that grief had to wait until after the hands had worked. Save the hide, save the edge, feed the breathing, keep the fire small. If a child cried while teeth circled beyond the light, a loving hand might close over the mouth. The rule was terrible. The rule was also why someone lived until morning, or's people did not call this cruelty. They did not call it kindness. They called nothing by those names. Winter decided first, language came later. This is not an archaeological claim about one ancient people. It is a story about something that did not stay ancient. Every rule remembers the danger that made it. The danger passes. The rule remains, waiting in the hand. Record 2. Dead hands. When Orr was young, an old hunter died beneath a great cat. The man's last hand opened and closed toward his tools. Orr killed the animal, took the useful stone and hide, and left a small string of teeth with the body. He did not know why he left it. He only knew some objects felt heavier than usefulness. The lesson had no clean edge. Dead hands could no longer cut meat, yet living hands could. The winter band left an injured woman called foot behind when her infected legs slowed the walk. Later, Orr's mother died. His brother chose another fire and did not return. One by one, the people who had made the old rules disappeared. Orr kept the rules because they worked. He could read snow, blood, wind, hunger, and fear. He could survive almost anything except the absence of other people. Survival had preserved his body and abandoned his meanings. Record 3. Ash under ash. He found the child beneath a burned shelter after strangers had destroyed a camp. A small body under hide and ash, breathing where nothing else moved. Orr named him Ash because the child's true name would not stay in his mouth. Ash kept one useless thing. A little hare carved by his mother, with long ears and clumsy legs. Orr understood the child needed meat, warmth, and a moving pair of hands. He did not yet understand that the hare was also food, only for a hunger under the ribs. At first, Ash feared the hand that covered his cough, or feared the sound that could bring teeth. Each was right inside a different night. Slowly they made a language between them. Ash learned Orr's signs for snow, blood, fire, and danger. Orr learned words that could hold what was not present. Here gone mine, keep with the carved hair between them. Two people began teaching each other what a living hand was for. Record 4 marks with no feet. ash drew on stone with pigment and coal, or stared at the marks because they behaved like tracks without feet. A line could keep an animal after it had gone, a shape could keep a hand after its warmth had left. This discovery changed the dead, or had treated loss as weather. Now loss could leave a sign and ask the living to answer. They found a dead child wearing a fine cloak, or wanted the warmth ash refused. The cloak belonged to the grief around that body, even when no mourners stood nearby, or put it back. Later they entered a camp that buried an old man with a perfect black knife. A living hand needed the edge, or took it. The camp saw desecration, not survival, when the alarm rose or reached toward a screaming woman with the old motion of protection. Ash stopped his hand. They were driven out. That night, the knife was useful. The scream was also useful. Two true rules had met, and neither one knew how to move aside.
Record 5, The Wrong Gift. Among traveling traders, Ash saw a white shell and exchanged a bone needle for it. The exchange was clean because both hands understood. Then a man with one ear saw the carved hair and offered meat. Ash refused. When the man reached or seized his wrist, spears shifted or knew a gift could stop blood. So he took the hair from Ash and offered it away. He had chosen peace with an object that was not his. Ash screamed, struck him, and reclaimed the carving. An old woman called Dry Grass stopped the quarrel without taking anything from the child. Or had almost stolen Ash's mother a second time later. With good meat in their bellies, Ash sat near Or again. The strange warmth after hunger made room for another appetite. Or wanted Ash clothes. Ash wanted other children, other words and fires that did not fear him. A full belly had revealed the hunger that food could not solve. Record 6, Pain Needs Witness. One ear cut his leg on stone or knelt to bind it, then gave the soft laugh. His first people used it blood. The sound meant pain has not won to one ear. It meant your pain is small. The man struck Or's mouth. Ash pressed snow against the split lip and made Or give the pain a sound instead of swallowing it. Dry Grass showed him another rule. Work with the hands, let suffering be seen. A laugh could strengthen one fire and shame another. A gift could rescue or humiliate depending on the face that carried it. A lowered eye could mean peace, guilt, or deceit. An open hand could mean welcome, surrender, poverty, or a trap. Or began to understand that no gesture traveled alone. Every fire completed its meaning. The old rules were not lies, they were local truths mistaken for the whole world. Record 7, Old Woman's Fire. At a larger camp, power seemed to belong to a tall man with a spear. Or watched longer and found it belonged to a quiet woman whose eyes reached every sleeping place. She was not old, but Or called her Old Woman's Fire because the authority around her felt older than noise. She taught him to look directly without challenging, to notice hidden wounds without displaying what he knew, and to let a child receive food through the mother's hand. Then a small child woke crying at night. The sound cut through Or to the darkness of his youth. Before thought could intervene, his hand covered the child's mouth. The mother screamed, people arrived with spears, no animal came from the trees. Only terror moved through the camp, or saw, perhaps for the first time, that safety had changed the moral weight of the hand. What had once protected a child now frightened one old woman's fire scent, or away Ash went with him, beside him, not behind. Record ate many fires. Seasons passed, Ash became a translator between camps, carrying words the way or carried tools at a great river gathering. Every object and posture seemed to have several meanings at once. Painted mouth could turn a dispute into theater and make a crowd feel it had chosen peace. Wolf Teeth wore a necklace that looked like threat, then used one tooth to help a scarred boy feel larger than fear. White Eyes listened for old signs. Old woman's fire wanted Ash protected. Dry grass offered him the road. Each saw something true in him, each also made a claim. Ash had a face that seemed to join fires, and people decided this made his future public property. Painted Mouth wanted his voice. Wolf Teeth wanted him marked and separated from whore. White Eyes wanted him interpreted as a sign. Care and possession stood so close that even Ash could not always tell which hand had touched him.
Record 9, the bad trade. Orr tried to free Ash with the rules he trusted. He placed his knife on the ground and his spear point, cord, all and every tool that kept a body alive. The gathering saw payment. Ash became more valuable. Orr offered labor. The gathering saw service for a possession. Ash became more valuable again. Painted Mouth gave the trap its gentlest sentence: a person cannot buy what was never his. The words were true, but the circle still meant to choose for Ash every rule. Orr borrowed, tightened the snare. Ash looked at him and said one word: stop. So Orr stopped at sunset. Ash would choose, surrounded by people who had already decided what each choice meant. Orr sat beyond the dog line with no weapon and one coal sleeping in a pouch. The old rules urged him to seize the child and run. The new rules said Ash chooses. Orr waited until the crowd became one eye. Then he made a rule from wind, dry grass, and power. Record 10, Fire speaks. Every language. Or through the living coal beneath Painted Mouth's raised store. He did not burn a person, he burned the place where food, gifts, and obligation had been stacked together. Fire spoke every language. Everyone looked or ran away from Ash so the hunters and dogs would follow him. In the confusion, Old Woman's fire pushed Ash toward open ground. Wolf Teeth struck a hunter who blocked him. Their reasons differed, the path opened anyway. Or crossed the riverbank with dogs at his hide and spears behind him. A dog died on his knife. A hunter fell. Ash appeared above the bank and threw a stone, refusing the safe role of rescued child. Or dropped into the flood and let the current carry him from the gathering. Across smoke, mud, and broken ice, he saw Ash still moving. For one breath, that was enough. Record 11, Teeth. Follow me. Wounded in the leg and arm, Orr made his trail obvious: blood on branches, broken snow, hair bones cracked by teeth. He let the hunters name what they wanted to hunt: grave thief, dog killer, child taker, fire beast.
He rode a false animal with his feet and pulled the story away from Ash. In the night he heard Ash's three-note call from another slope. Or did not answer. Love wanted to turn toward the sound. Love also understood that silence could keep the child hidden. After days of pursuit, Or found Ash's crooked hair marked on a stone. It led to a narrow cave where Ash waited with old woman's fire for a few breaths. They had water, meat, pain, and one soft laugh that belonged to that fire. Then dogs sounded outside. The cave had a rear crack wide enough for Ash and the woman, not for Or. Record 12, The Last Rule. Or returned the black knife to Ash's living hands. He said he pushed Ash toward the crack and smeared his own face with ash. The hunters had already made him a monster, so he gave their eyes the shape they expected. He stepped out empty-handed and charged the man called Broken Ear, drawing every spear toward himself. A point entered his belly, clubs came down high between the roots. Ash watched while old woman's fire held a hand over his mouth. Softly in that fire, in that danger, the old motion was right again. Or did not die quickly. The hunters tied him outside their fire and waited. Before dawn, old woman's fire returned, cut his hands free, and placed the carved hair in his palm. Ash gives, she told him. This was not taking, this was keeping. Or gave her the blue bead he had carried in his mouth. Then he stayed, because the monster story needed a body, and Ash needed it to remain behind. Record 13, not beast, not saint. Broken Ear killed Or beside the fire. The story traveled faster than Ash. It made Or taller, hairier, and hungrier. It said he stole children, opened graves, ate dogs, burned food, and drank breath from a baby's mouth. When Ash corrected the story, some listeners only enjoyed the monster more. When he told everything, each person selected a different wrong. Ash learned that a complete account does not force a complete hearing. He also refused the clean opposite. Or was not secretly perfect. His hand had frightened children. His gifts had taken what was not his. His love had sometimes closed around another person. Ash kept those facts because removing them would be another kind of lie. He kept Or's knowledge too. Tools belong with breath. Signs belong with the dead. Pain deserves witness. A child may move toward warmth that is not yours. No old rule is wise merely because it is old. Record 14, The Fire. No one remembered. Ash grew old enough to make rules of his own. When children cried in a safe night, he let the sound run. When danger listened, we held his hand near the mouth and sang until crying became breath. His rule was simple. A hand waits before it closes. He drew Or on a cave wall many times and wiped each image away. A giant looked like a warning. Fire in Or's hand looked like the burned store. A child behind him looked like capture. At last, Ash drew only an open hand near a small fire, near enough to warm, far enough to let the flame breathe.
Years later, his daughters saw the blue bead and asked about the old child taker. Ash lifted her onto his knee. Not child taker, he said child keeper. Then he told her the bad parts too. The child fell asleep before the ending. Outside that small fire, people still told the beast story. Here, or had hands, or had words. Ash held the sleeping child and listened to her breathing. Warm here,